Okay, so recently we've been talking about a few comic book companies, publishers, whatever you want to call it, imprints, if you will, having some real financial woes in regard, right, the big money. They need the $1 million man to come in and money.
I'm not making fun of the people that are suffering from not being paid from these companies. I'm laughing at these companies because they suck!
Well, they don't suck. I mean, again, we talked about the consumers not really holding their own. You talk a big game about how you like it, but you're not paying people's way, and people still have to actually eat like real food, not CGI food.
Right.
So,
that's true.
Yeah, it's difficult to pay the old grocery store and your mortgage company when you're out on your ass and you're being paid with promises and Twitter likes. That doesn't really help. So, IDW, heavy metal, Aftershock, the list goes on and on. Valiant, we've heard. Tons of companies having all sorts of financial issues. What is the cure-all, my friend? What's the cure-all?
I think it's why you're here. It's crowdfunding.
Give us your money.
Give us now. Or not us. Or
you could. I mean,
we're not saying don't.
I'm not destitute, but I could play destitute if it's going to play at your heartstrings.
Right.
Oh, I got the hat.
Please, sir, may I have another quarter?
So, again, we were talking about this before, and I know there's a lot of people out there that do this already, and shout out to the guys that actually do crowdfund a lot of their stuff. I think a lot of the guys that got into crowdfunding are guys that are far removed from the inner workings of the comic book publishing industry for one or two reasons. Maybe they are a burgeoning new artist, maybe not anywhere connected through one of the major metropolitan areas where they have a lot of access, or they're an artist that has somewhat divisive opinions. I'm not entirely sure who people like that might actually be. Everybody has divisive opinions from what I... But, so there's guys that have been kind of excommunicated from what is a very liberal establishment. Right, they've been blacklisted. So they went the complete opposite route. And they've gone into crowdfunding, and that's fine. We're not here to talk about individuals and what they've crowdfunded, if their stuff's any good or not. No. But the reason why we think crowdfunding is probably a viable option, and the reason for that is everybody gets paid up front.
That is correct.
So you actually can put your money away in escrow in your little business coffers, which I really hope you'd be doing because you'd have some scruples, or else people maybe come and witch hunt you down and.
Scruples.
Right, you should have some scruples. Some scruples in business. That's important. Is it that you like the word?
Or I do kind of like the word scruples. It kind of sounds like a something you could hug that's furry and fluffy. A little scruple. Right, doesn't it?
Right. Well, get your furry little scruple. Right. Get your furry scruples and make sure that you actually take care of your purveyors of the art form that you're doing, the guys that you've hired. And we feel like a lot of these people, again, they get forgotten. They don't have a lot of leverage. They don't have the ability to then go out and tell these big public. How do you go to Marvel if you're an artist and you haven't gotten paid in 120 days and you're just about to get kicked out of your apartment?
Say you're a freelancer for Marvel and I'm a
freelancer in gay pornography.
He is the best.
One of the best.
He does it all on the house.
Right.
It's all about the passion for the
art.
love.
I do it for the love of the sport.
Yes.
Right.
He's an artist.
Right. I work different glory holes just to keep my skills sharp. I like to keep my anonymity, right? But
keep the lights on.
Right.
The glory holes. As maybe.
So again, how do you leverage being an unknown artist, like, and then go to a Marvel and say, "Yo, man, like I'm just about out on my ass here." You can go online and bitch and complain, and you're probably going to find yourself blacklisted and have a bunch of words about your character used where they're going to try to discredit you as much as possible, because we've seen that in the last 5-6 years with the internet, that canceling people a lot of the time really has to do with the fact that certain people don't like pushback from other people, and a lot of the times it's a lot of power hierarchy top down sort of pushback, where it's you're going against the establishment. Well, what we can do is just disparage your character, have you then moved out of this position.
You know what this reminds me of? The trial against Peter Parker and J. Jonah Jameson. As Peter Parker was a freelancer for him, J. Jonah Jameson never wanted to pay him.
There you go. Peter Parker would have been a crowdfunder.
He would have, because you guys all seen the movies, read the comics. He never wanted to pay Peter Parker for the pictures. He never wanted to be a freelancer.
Cheap son of a bitch.
Right.
You think a guy with salt and pepper hair like that would have been more...
that mustache would have been so trusting.
And I've seen so many different issues with J. Jonah Jameson hugging his furry little scruples. I thought... I thought for sure that he'd come through with a paycheck.
That's very true.
Turns out that not so much.
No.
Son of a bitch, eh?
Yeah, right, I know.
So we feel like crowdfunding, first off, you're going to find out if your audience exists, much like us where we don't have an audience and they don't exist, but we appreciate the ghosts out there
I
that
like
watch
talking
us.
to the void.
Right, talking to the voices. This is better than the padded room I spend most of my time in. So,
Well, they're waiting for us out there right now. They just let us have this right now. This time.
right, yeah. So you'd find out if your market actually was established and people gave a shit about your stuff. You set a little barometer for like how much there's actual fervor for what you're doing. You understand, okay, this is what people have demand for. This is what they like, they don't like. They pay me up front, and because they pay me up front, I can then go to my publisher. I can go to my artist, my inker, my story writer, whatever it happens to be, and I can make sure everybody gets paid up front. What we were talking about, 30%, 50%, whatever it has to be, before the work is done. And then when your work is completed, right before delivery of the product, everybody else gets paid. Whereas right now we got this ass backwards system where you go out, you do a bunch of work on the cuff for a bunch of people who either do, in the case of Disney, Marvel, or DC, have the money, or people that you're not even sure if they've got the money to keep the lights on. IDW, Aftershock, Heavy Metal, Valiant, the list goes on with indie publishers that might be going out of business before you even get your splash page done today. So now you don't know, you've got to submit all your art, free, here you go, clear, you guys own all the trademarks to all this, boom, there it is. And then you wait 90 days or 120 days, destitute out in the cold, eating your ramen noodles like a college student.
How does that seem fair?
Hoping that you get paid for your creative work, which just, I mean, again, if you like sucking dick for the love of the sport like I do, then that's fine. Then you go out and pursue your craft at any feasible way you'd like to. But when you're doing it for a monetary kickback, you should be getting guaranteed that you're going to be paid for the hard work that you put in. I'm not entirely sure how we don't start going into crowdfunding as the norm until we've actually motivated at least Marvel and DC to change their pay structure.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the amount you pay, but the fact that you've got to make sure these artists are not only covered, but that if they've got a grievance, they can come out of the public eye and aggrieve what you're doing and not have you and all your stooges and minions and bootlickers on the internet then come out and start to disparage these people.
Bastardize the name or whatever.
As if they're bad people just because they want what's rightfully owed to them.
Right, there should be an actual pay period, like a bi-weekly. You worked for us here, boom, you get paid this. I don't know what's like some of the people that were waiting like 120 days to get paid.
This is kind of the benefit that they use. I say benefit, it's a corporate benefit, but it's what they use in professional wrestling a lot of the time. Like the WWE is pretty notorious for hiring everybody as a subcontractor because they can fire you at any time.
Yeah.
They don't have a home base necessarily. Like they work out of the state, like if we talk WWE, they work out of, I don't know if it's the state of New York that they base out of or Connecticut where they do their taxes. But because you are based anywhere, they can bring you in, send you home. They pay you per shot. And if you get hurt or if they want to get rid of you, you don't really have the protections that you necessarily be afforded as a full-time employee. And I'm not some union, I'm a capitalist. I totally understand. But when you've got someone that in reality is working for you in a full-time capacity, you shouldn't have the ability to then curtail the rights of them just because they have to travel, or in this case, you're not necessarily hired to do, okay, you've been hired to do 32 pages a month. It's like we have you on retainer, but you're still on retainer in some type of exclusivity to us where anytime we call you, you're going to come in off the bench and get this work done. That should at least afford those people some sort of guarantee that they're going to get taken care of properly.
Absolutely.
They probably already completely don't get any insurance, like in the WWE where you have no insurance, you know, like everything. If you get hurt in-house, they take care of you, but there's a reason it's not, again, and I'm capitalist, there's a reason it's not unionized or anything like that. It's because they try to keep all those controls that give employees a little bit of leverage removed from it. And when it comes to that or this, where you're doing consistent work for one of these imprints, I think you should get taken care of as if you're an actual employee of that company.
Right,
and by being an employee, they have different structure, different rules on how they're allowed to pay or not pay you, because then labor boards and stuff get involved with things.
Right.
And,
you know how there's an actors guild? I wonder if there's like an artist guild. Like they have a writers guild. You hear about that in like Hollywood. I wonder if there's like an artist guild for like artists who do their own art or that are freelancers. I wonder if they have something like that.
and again, I imagine if there isn't, and somebody tried, because that's...
Should let us know if there are anybody
right,
out
yeah,
there
we're totally not artists. All our stick men got spina bifida. It's horrible, right? So, like, I need a protractor and a... But, I mean, I don't know, but I would imagine if you tried to do something like that now and get that established, because, well, a lot of what the Actors Guild and Writers Guilds is those are just fancy ways of saying unions.
No, exactly.
Where there's like a base pay scale and certain guarantees that have to come into place when you're on set. There's certain things that have to be made sure they're taken care of. Yeah. They would probably blacklist you because they like having all the power.
Well, exactly. You don't want to...
We know what you're doing out there, Mickey Mouse.
Right. You got the thumbs on the people.
Right. And they go ahead and try to disparage guys. And I understand a lot of the guys that have done crowdfunding in recent years have somewhat of a track record where people maybe agree or disagree with them and their politics. They've gotten far too political in a lot of their diatribes. And that's not my business. I'm not interested in your politics on this end or on that end. Politics are really boring. But as far as the crowdfunding goes, I feel like it might be the most viable route we're headed towards.
Probably the most beneficial for everybody, every party that's involved in the production or the operation, whatever you're doing.
I just feel like that we've got guys on the very end of the totem pole, on the very bottom of this pay chain, and they're the ones that need to be taken care of, because first and foremost, if we don't have these artists, writers, inkers doing their jobs, if we don't have the actual printing companies getting paid for the work they did, the 100,000 issues that they've printed for you that are on order already that you haven't paid for, and they go out of business, and the writers get disenfranchised, and they don't want to write, and the artists say, like, this isn't viable anymore, I'm going to go get a job at Sobeys. At what point in time do we ruin the entire industry? And then you don't have all this work you could go ahead and make major motion pictures and TV shows off.
Well, that's coming to, I think that's coming to a fast
conclusion.
No, exactly, because, like, it sucks that the small people, like we're talking about, the people that aren't getting paid, it's like shit rolls down. Everybody at top get paid, but you're still waiting down at the bottom.
You know whose check always cleared is Bob Iger and Bob Chapek. They've always gotten paid.
Right? How come they get billions and billions or millions of dollars in bonuses, but you can't pay your
right? And if you're backing them up and you're not backing the little guy that lives on your street,
just like you out there,
and you expect to get paid for what you do for work,
right?
They should be getting paid for what they do. I don't see a viable option rather than going and crowdfunding if somebody believes in your project. But again, a lot of these guys. And this might be an issue with a lot of the crowdfunding on an individual basis, is a lot of these people work on licenses and franchises and IPs that they don't own.
Yeah.
And a lot of the guys we've seen that crowdfund have had to go out and start their own stuff because they've got to own the actual intellectual property to be able to go out and produce this material. So when you already have all the leverage, because you own Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and Spider-Man, and you already have all the money, come on, man. Take care of it. You're going to pay the people that work hourly shifts at Disneyland. They're not waiting on a paycheck. Yeah. Why would somebody that's drawing your actual intellectual properties for mass consumption, why would they be sitting around having to wait? This is on these major corporations to have this figured out before a lot of these creatives all decide, you know what? This just isn't a viable career anymore. We can't keep doing this. Allow AI art to go ahead and take this over.
Yeah.
And the rest of us will go and we'll ply our craft elsewhere. And then I'll have more competition at the Glory Hole. Then we'll all be in there fighting for dongs. That's fun.
Yeah. It almost seems like these big people or these big companies that aren't paying these artists are taking like advantage, maybe not so, but taking advantage of their willing to work on Spider-Man or Star Wars.
Oh, they do.
You can work on this for a bit, but you know the pay times are going to be maybe a little bit longer, whatever it happens to be, and you're probably taking advantage of people that want to work on that.
Totally.
Like, I'll take a little bit of a hit on my bank account if I can work on Spider-Man because I love Spider-Man or Star Wars or whatever it happens to be. And
this guy gets it.
Maybe you shouldn't be doing that.
I think that's probably how we surmise it, is that you shouldn't be taking advantage of people, and we need to make sure that if we care about this industry, that we're taking care of people on the bottom end, because they're really the guys that make this thing tick.
That's right. Right.
Yeah. So that's it. Crowdfunding should be something that we look into further, especially when guys decide to go off on their own. We get a good temperature read of what the market thinks of you. We get paid up front and everybody gets covered. And then everybody gets what they want in the end anyways, because we all end up getting the material that gets published.
Yes.
God bless. Thank you very much. I'm Cody.
I'm Anthony.
We're Big Beaver Comics. Check us out on BigBeaverComics.com, over on Instagram, over on Facebook, and we'll see you guys at the Glory Hole.
Some crowdfunding, huh? that word with him right now?
Yeah.
Start crowdfunding with this video?
Yeah, give us your money.
I don't think that's how it works. You gotta come up with
Give us your money!
That works!
Right.
It works in bank robberies, right?
Right.
Give us your money!
Right.
No!
It's not really their money, right? They're representatives of the money. It's not like their money.
That's very true.
It's like got a name tag on it. Just take the name tag off. Like, take whatever the fuck you want. Like,
Right, hey, yo,
The same
I'm
as-
switching sides!
the same as Sam Peckinpah movie, yo. Like,
Right.
take a fucking breath.
Do you think if you're getting robbed, like you're a bank teller and you're like, give us the money now, I'm like, I'll give you the money, but I'm on your side. You gotta give me a cut. Do you think they do that?
That's a pretty good head fake. I'm gonna try that.
Well, why not, right? Then you just gotta switch around, maybe make a couple bucks.
Pretty sure my checkered past isn't gonna allow me to be a bank teller at any point. I feel like there's a lot of checks and balances with the hiring process there.
Well, you can skip the whole bank teller part and just go to the robber part.